Once, in a small village nestled between rolling hills and whispering forests, there lived a young man named Arjun. He wasn't born with wealth or power, but he was born with an unwavering dream to become the greatest blacksmith in the kingdom. He dreamt of forging swords and shields that would be remembered for centuries. But life wasn't kind to Arjun. His father, the village blacksmith, passed away when Arjun was just a boy. Left with nothing but a broken anvil and a furnace that barely smoked, Arjun could have given up, but he didn't. He had something more valuable than gold: determination. Every day he would wake before dawn, tending to the fire, hammering metal with all his strength. His hands were blistered, his clothes torn, but he didn't care. The world might have thought him foolish, but Arjun knew something they didn't. True greatness is born in the hardest moments. One evening, as the sun began to set, an old traveler passed through the village. He saw Arjun working tirelessly, his face smeared with soot, sweat dripping down his brow. The traveler paused, intrigued by the young man's resolve. "Why do you work so hard?" he asked. Arjun, not even stopping for a breath, looked up and replied, "I am forging not just metal, but my destiny." The traveler smiled and said, "Your fire burns bright, young blacksmith. But remember, fire can destroy as much as it creates. The question is, can you control it?" Arjun didn't understand at first, but the traveler's words lingered in his mind. Over the weeks that followed, Arjun continued his work, but now with a new understanding. He had always known how to make a sword, but he had never thought about how to make it perfect. It wasn't just about brute force or relentless effort. It was about balance, patience, and vision. One day, a royal messenger arrived in the village with an urgent request. The king needed a sword, one that would be worthy of a great battle. The challenge was enormous. Arjun knew that this was the moment he had been waiting for, but doubt crept in. Could he really make a sword worthy of the king? He stared at the broken anvil, at the fire that had nearly burned out, and at the years of hard work that had led him here. With every ounce of his being, Arjun poured his heart into that sword. The hammer rang out with a rhythm that matched the beating of his own heart. He fought against the doubts that tried to break him, against the fear that whispered he wasn't good enough. When the sword was finally complete, it shimmered with a brilliance that was unlike any weapon Arjun had ever seen. It was sharp, precise, and perfectly balanced. He held it in his hands, and for the first time in his life, Arjun felt like a true blacksmith. The royal messenger returned and, upon seeing the sword, was speechless. He handed it over to the king, who admired it greatly. The king was so impressed that he invited Arjun to the palace, rewarding him with wealth, land, and recognition. But as Arjun knelt before the king, he realized something. It wasn't the wealth or the land that mattered. It was the journey, the fire that he had learned to control. The fire within him was the key to his success, and he knew now that it had always been within him. He just needed to learn how to fuel it properly. Arjun's name became known across the kingdom, not just as a blacksmith, but as a symbol of resilience, patience, and vision. The lesson he learned from that fire, the lesson that had been passed down from the traveler, was simple but profound. True greatness isn't about rushing to the top. It's about forging yourself through the flames, one step at a time. And from that day forward, whenever Arjun made a sword, he didn't just craft metal, he crafted his legacy.